Hi, yeah, it's Xavier down the bottom of the garden, and actually it's quite a bit later on in the afternoon. I think I mentioned in my maple video, which some of you will probably find a bit boring, but it's also the time to make sure we've got these done. There hasn't been copious amounts of growth on it. There's a few little bit of dead bits that I need to trim back, but this got repotted last year. So it's still in that stage where I think it's probably settling into its new environment. But I'm quite happy that it's relatively healthy. Better be. I think this is something I treated myself, and I mentioned it before, but my wife died a couple of years ago. So family suggested that why don't you actually treat yourself? And so that's exactly what I did. So I bought two, and these are Zelkovas, Roots on Rock. Beautiful, beautiful display. The spiders love them, without cobwebs everywhere. Absolutely, you know, these are, I dreamed of having stuff like this, and there's probably some people who really bonsai to high sound and look at it and go, it's tat. But all I did with it when I first got it, I mean, it was a complete and utter mess, but I just created and cut through, so there's at least more visible layers you can see. It's a lot tidier than it was when I first bought it, that's for sure. But yeah, I still love it when I see it. So yeah, so all I did today is tidy it up, and literally I think this will have been pruned once this year, and that's right now. I think last year it got pruned twice, but I know it did. So we'll have a look. I'm going to shorten stuff off, bring the profile back in. So rules with these are the same as with all of them. I go by the basis of the last three leaves. So the first one is definitely inactive. Quite often the second new leaf is also an inactive bud, so I'll tend to prune back to the third. And surprisingly enough, it will be in Xavier Motion. And as you can imagine, this will go on for quite some time. I think the last time it took me just over 2 hours to prune this. So I'll be flicking the camera on and off, because even Xavier Motion for 4 hours at 5 times speed is a long time. There's nothing to really talk about with this. It's a finished tree. I'm literally just doing the tertiary pruning, which is clipping it back to shape. Obviously if I see dead ends and dead branches, I'll remove them. But it's just bringing these ones where they've got shot out to 6 or 7 leaves, just bringing them back. You bored yet? Because I am. It's a beautiful tree though, absolutely beautiful tree. Very repetitious, especially once you've got it to the right state. I mean, you really can see right into that. You can see all the main trunk line. Quite busy up here. Probably that would be something. I mean, I think you've got five coming from the same junction there. And you know, the normal me would be saying, oh, let's get that down to 2 or 3, but the bit of me that paid a lot of money for this is going, well, I think someone knew what they were doing when they first put it together. So, and you know, as many bonsai enthusiasts are saying these days, not all the rules have to apply every time. Anyway, back to this, and I'll switch you back on in a minute. So it's Xavier now in Subscribers Corner. I'm in my little corner. Just a few little shout outs. The Jade massacre will have happened by now. So I'm going to shout out to Anders straight away, who quietly reminded me that I've misidentified yet another plant. It's actually started to become a bit of a hobby of mine, this misidentification, and thankfully I haven't done the same mistake with my children. But all seriousness, thanks Anders, I didn't actually realise there was a difference between the ovata and the elephant bush, the Portulacaria. I am reading because my memory's like a sieve. Yeah, he suggested I keep the cuttings, but I gave what Alex wanted. I've kept one myself, which is down there somewhere, and the rest have gone to reinvigorate the earth. Probably the best way of putting it. Yeah, so just to point out, there's a lot of Crassula ovata in my forest, but one is a Portulacaria. He said they look kind of funny. Do you know what? I've had a look and I've keep looking. I think maybe he meant there's the little small. You can't see what I'm pointing at. There's the little small one. That might have been the Portulacara or the elephant bush, but I'll do my best. I'm guessing that if it doesn't have that reddy tinge around it, it's the non-jade jade. Anyway, but thanks for that, Anders, and you weren't the only one who pointed out that I'd mucked that up. But hey ho, we're all learning, aren't we? And I just thought I'd bring out another little chat that came out on the comments, and it was to do with another video. But for those of you who do take the time to reply and put comments, you know that's the bit I love the most. And from Osman of Pot Relief Bonsai Batu, and it was in relation to when I was talking about getting the dust and dirt out of my silver birch when I was doing the filling on that video, and I ended up using cleaners with wetting them down and just pulling the stuff out. He says, maybe you forgot the law of physics, gravity. To remove the dirt from that hole completely, it should be behind the position. Pot above with arrows up and down, canopy below. So yeah, of course it can be completely cleaned, or at least till it's 45 degrees. If it's not clean, paste the ingredients, whatever. So it's not optimal, maybe plus or minus 90 degrees. Yeah, I thought about trying that, and then really I remembered that. But surely, once you take into account the Coriolis effects in the northern hemisphere and adjust for seismic movement, it shouldn't matter. Anyway, well, I think what I'm trying to say is I quite like having a bit of a laugh on these comments. Not everyone finds them funny, but if you fancy having a jibe or putting something in there, don't think I'm going to get offended. Well, unless you say something offensive, in which case I'll just sulk, because I sulk sometimes, because I get hurt. Don't I, Gay? Sorry. Okay, from here, I don't want to bore you too much, but I do think it's important. One of the reasons I did all these videos is because I need to bring myself out of grieving. You all know I talk about it enough that my wife died a few years ago, and this channel was as much about me trying to reconnect and engage in an area that I know a lot about. I don't know, again, I know nothing about, but like to think I do. And start engaging with people. I'm going to say thanks. There are so many of you out there that I'm engaging with, and it's giving me, I know, an hour in the morning. I'll have a look through comments and stuff, and all right, there may only be one, but my reading's a bit slow, so it takes me a while. But no, I'm loving it. I really am loving it. So keep doing it. And if you're not putting comments and you think you want to, do. And if you want to know about stuff like the dementia or the caring stuff, I brought it up in earlier videos, and I am going to talk about my wife's cancer as well, at a time when I can, not to sort of gain sympathy, not to gain sympathy or anything, but just there's other people out there who I know full well are either carers or have friends, family suffering from cancers, and it isn't easy. It really isn't easy. And sometimes if this is a way to express or share, and it helps, then hey, I'm more than on for that. Anyway, I've gone off on one again. We're going to hand over. I'm going to thank Jay from Blue Jay. he does this great little subscriber picks at the end, and he's had one of mine on of my my Vesuvian azalea disaster. It just looked like volcanic ash at the moment, but I have had a couple of people send me some pictures, so it's only fair. So yep, copyrighted entirely, but people are sending me some photos, so I'm going to throw them in subscribers photos in this corner section. And basically Andrew Beattie, who came up and visited me a while back, spent a good hour and a half up here. He was the one who twisted my arm to sell him for me to sell one of his trees to him at an exorbitant price. I still feel like I've stolen or robbed you, but in my guilt I also let him have a little oak, the little Yamadori oak that was in a pot, and he started doing something with that. So there's a picture of that that's come up. And then he also asked me about another little potential thing that had been popping up. I presume it's in his garden somewhere. He thought it might be a yew. So if anyone else can confirm whether they think it's a yew or not, it's over to you to do that. I'm not sure, but you know, a lot of trunk movement in that. I think that's potentially going to be a beauty in sort of 30 or 40 years time. I don't think I'll live that long somehow. And again, Alex Bronton spent a lot of time with his wood and his glue and his nails, and he's managed to put himself together a nice little bonsai bench. So he sent that to me, so I thought, well, he actually sent me a load of pictures of his pine as well, but I thought the bench looked nicer, so so that's Alex's bench. Anyway, from Subscribers Corner, a big thank you. And I mean, I don't know how often they'll be done. Sometimes if a comment catches my eye, I'll probably print it off. But yeah, I just want you to know I love it. This is what it's all about for me. Dare I say the trees come second, but they do. I love this engagement. So really, thanks everyone. So back over to our main feature, which actually is going to be the pruning. Well, you know that because you have watched the beginning of it, so I don't know why I'm telling you what the nib. Do you know, I'm absolutely useless anyway. Cheers.
Give you a slightly different perspective from where I'm looking.
Just so what I'm doing now is really trying to clear in here, trying to reduce the 5s to 3s or 2s, which hasn't happened yet. So that's what it's doing. So you'll empty that all out, but I think you should already see there's quite a lot more space in here. Yeah. So yeah, so I'll keep doing that. Okay. Just give this a clean around here. A few weeds. Definitely upset a few spiders. So they're relatively simple. Well, once you've actually got them to this sort of level, and it's just upkeep. And always remember, trees want to grow, so you do have to continue to allow it to grow out, get bigger. Consider where your next future branches may well come from. I mean, we're not at that stage with this one yet, but I will definitely be looking in there, mainly because I probably aren't going to do as much as I want right now, because to be honest I like it as it is. I really do. Could do with a better pot, that's for sure. say I normally go around 2-3 times. This isn't perfect by any way, shape or form, but I think it's re-established nice profile lines, tightened up. It's always the balance of getting them in deep enough so the birds don't end up pulling them straight back up. Okay, so I imagine most of that was pretty well healing music or something along those lines, and I imagine I did it really fast, because by the time you're doing tertiary you're just looking at really fine detail. You can still look at reducing 5s to 4s to 3s, but once you've got a tree that's been along for this style, there's a lot of stuff that's been established already that, you know, that may actually not be in accordance with the rules, as I said earlier, but you know, ultimately it's got to be in accordance with how you like to see it. So we'll give this one a spin, and I say this is the most expensive tree I've ever bought. And I know I went back to Xavier Nurseries to get a couple more, and I was really sort of thinking strongly about selling stuff, and he says you can't get him anymore. Well, he couldn't get him anymore. It's not to say you can't, I'm sure you still can find avenues, but yeah, said it wasn't worth doing anymore. Okay, so with all that prattle and you know what, I just want to say thanks for taking the time for watching if you did, and if you didn't take the time for watching, I'm not thanking you. Just thought I'd let you see the second of the two that I bought. I won't show you the pruning of this, it's going to be exactly the same, even the rock's probably the same, but yeah, this one was a little bit cheaper than the other one, but I like this one just as much. A lot more compact. Definitely like this a lot. So yeah, so once more from Xavier down the bottom of the garden with two of his most expensive trees purchased, I'll say farewell. Cheers.